Hey everybody, it's Tessa. I am here in Seattle on a very gloomy, windy day. I hope you guys are doing well back in Tennessee. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the final prospectus. This is the sort of culminating project for this class. First, to talk about the final exam, though. We do have one in this class. Then we're going to talk about a description of the final prospectus, things I'm looking for, and things to remember. The appendices, guys, appendices are mandatory for your project. All of you will at least have 3 of them. So please slog it out to the end here. And then, of course, the rubric reminders. So the final exam, it's open from December 10th through December 12th. Pretty much every student I've ever had in this class have said that the exam was really hard. But if you just study the study guide and you've taken notes and you've absorbed stuff in the class, you've done the readings, you should do fine. So that review sheet is called Final Exam Review Checklist. It should be an intro docs. Please review it. Please make sure that you can at least speak to, in some way, all of the topics on that review sheet. Okay, so let's get to the final prospectus. The first thing I want to say is that there is a template. Please use it. It's what I am looking for. So when your paper starts to deviate from that template, I start to get a little nervous because the more you deviate, the less likely it is that you're getting in all of this key information that I need. So please go to the template. It's called Handout 3 Paper Template. The rubric, again, same rubric we used for Chapter 2, except it includes all of the chapters. And of course, the only ones that matter for this class are Chapters 1, 2, and 3. The rubric is called FOED 6980 Final Proposal Checklist. You can find both of these in Introdocs, and they are your new best friends. I mean it, guys. It's really important. Now, the prospectus, as you all know, is the first 3 chapters of your proposal. The next 2 chapters, chapters 4 and 5, or findings and discussion, will be written next year with Dr. Ars Trigati. Your first chapter is your introduction. Second chapter is, for the most part, out of the way as long as you've made your edits. And third chapter is methodology. Overall, aside from sticking close to the template and the rubric, I'm looking for papers that have enough information. Not more, not less. You just need to write enough for your project. Correct APA format is really important. It shows that you've put in the time and the effort. You pulled out the manual. You've gone to Purdue OWL. You've really tried to figure out how exactly you cite things in text and in your reference list. I count off for APA points. You guys know that. And it just, all the answers are right there. They're right there in front of you in the APA manual. If you have a problem, if you're citing something really strange, just shoot me an email. And we'll work it out together. But I am looking for correct APA format in your final paper. So I'm looking for a real engagement with your topic. That engagement is going to show up in lots of places, but most definitely in your introduction to your paper in Chapter 1. This is like the first 3 or 4 pages of your paper. It sets up the problem. All right, it sort of gives me an idea, first of all, of what your problem is, and how your problem came to be. So if you were writing about, let's say, teachers' perspectives on the IEP, let's just say, then what I would be looking for in the introduction is some sort of very brief history of the IEP. So you'd be pulling in IDEA and stuff like that. A very short history of the IEP, what the purpose of the IEP is, and start to talk about, there are lots of different perspectives on the IEP and its efficacy. That would be something that introduces your problem of the IEP, gives me an idea of what an IEP is and why it's important. I'm also looking for evidence that you have read the materials and that you know how they apply to your study. Especially in the methodology section, this is really going to be important. I will be able to see how much you read, honestly, and how much you understood. And that's good. If you're struggling with something right now, email me. Let's work it out before your paper is due. Now, I'm not looking for you to have all the answers. You've never done a qualitative study, and you don't know the exact details of what it's like to interview someone, or what it's like to apply a theoretical framework to actual practical research. And I'm not looking for you to have all the answers. I'm just looking for thoughtfulness. I'm looking that you know what you're talking about, even if you don't know the answers to what you're talking about. So I'm looking for passion. I'm looking for engagement. And of course, no evidence of plagiarism. Please do not turn in somebody's paper. Don't copy and paste from articles and pass it off as your own. And don't use previous work, except for the lit review. Don't use previous work. If you had to write a prospectus in another class, don't just copy it, okay? This should be new work that comes from you. Okay, so things to remember. Again, print out the template, that's handout 3, and the rubric, and put them next to your computer. That is what I do when I write papers that have a very strict format, is I just put them right by and I follow it. You must submit your final proposal to iLearn and to TK20. This is really important. This is the artifact that comes from this class. It's a huge deal. Probably next semester, your teacher will be asking you for it to access it. So I can't grade your paper until it's submitted to both places. And you really don't want to lose points for just forgetting to deposit it in TK20. Okay, here's appendices. This is not going to be the most interesting thing in the world, but it is important. Each of you will have at least 3 appendices. All the appendices go after the reference page. Okay, so you got your paper, your conclusion, you finish it up, then you have the reference page, and that could be, 2, 3, 4, or 5 pages. And then you start your appendices, starting off with Appendix A. Now, you've got to refer to your appendix or to Appendix A in the body of your paper. Okay, otherwise, if you don't refer to it in your paper, then I don't really know what it's doing in your prospectus. So each appendix is labeled A, B, and C in the order in which they appear in the text. And there is a proper format for assembling all these appendices in the APA manual. Okay, so your first appendix, this would be Appendix A. This is what's called your gatekeeper letter. A gatekeeper letter is basically a statement from either central office or from the principal of your school giving you permission to do research in the school. It's a document that says, hey, I'm Tessa Bishop. I'm doing a project on teachers' perspectives on IEPs. I will be observing an IEP meeting and interviewing teachers, and I have permission to do this. And then it's signed by the principal or the central office. You have to get this gatekeeper letter signed before you start collecting data. So I'm happy for you guys to go ahead and start soliciting gatekeeper letters. There is a template in iLearn, which basically you can copy and paste and fill in the appropriate information, your name, the name of your study, all of that stuff. Before you give it to anyone, email it to me, the copy that you want to give out, and just to make sure that everything looks good, and I can give you some more information about soliciting signatures for gatekeeper letters. When you submit it in your final paper, it's not going to be signed, and that's okay. Sometimes getting a gatekeeper letter signed takes a while, and so I just want to see that you have done it. You are cognizant of a gatekeeper letter, and it's in the works. Now, if you are doing research in Putnam County, they require you to go to the central office to get permission to do research. You can't just go to the principal. You have to go to the central office, and this can take a while. I recommend that you email them, Danette Colby, and just put a copy of put an attachment with the gatekeeper letter, explain what you're doing, explain why you need the signature, and ask her to sign it. You can ask her to just scan it and sign it, or you can follow up with a hard copy. Some students have to go to the central office to sort of remind them that they need to sign it. So be prepared to have, some roadblocks in the way, possibly. Your second appendix, this is your interview questions. Basically, all I'm looking for you to do is to copy and paste your interview questions into an appendix, so probably Appendix B. We've turned them in for an assignment. I've given you feedback. I'm looking for you to have revised those interview questions based on my feedback, and you just stick them in an appendix. Finally, I'm looking for your consent form, a copy of your consent form. Basically what a consent form is it says, "Hi, I'm Tessa. I'm doing a project. I'm going to be asking some questions and doing some observations." It has to include a statement about anonymity, and about the fact that you will not reveal their identities in your paper in any way. It's got to have contact info for you and your advisor, who is going to be Dr. Andrea Arstrigati. And there's got to be a place for them to sign. You also want to include in your consent letter that they can leave the study at any time. There's a template in iLearn, and all you got to do is copy it and enter in your information. Now, please keep in mind, the consent form that you put in your appendix should not be signed. The only person who should ever see that consent form is your participant and you. Because otherwise, if you show it to somebody else, it'll reveal the identity of your participant. And that's unethical. So, again, in your final prospectus, just give me a blank copy of your consent form. Before you interview anyone, you have to get them to sign a consent form. Read it, understand it, ask questions about it, and sign it. This is a big deal, okay? So you hang on to those consent letters just in case there's a problem later on. So that's the last appendix. I just want to reiterate the template and the rubric. It's these two documents are your key to a successful prospectus, along with engagement and passion. You can find both of them in intro docs. If you can't find them, please let me know. But give a good faith effort before you do. Again, they are your best friends. All right, guys, so you do have one assignment to do today, but it's not very hard. I put up a sign-up sheet for a video chat in the discussion board. You'll see it. It's a topic. I need you to sign up for a time to video chat. They start on Thursday and go through Monday. If you can't, again, just like last time, if you can't find a time that works for you, email me and we'll do it. But this is a mandatory assignment, so I need you to do it quickly. That's all I got for you. All the information is in iLearn. If you've been keeping up with the assignments, you'll be fine. Just follow the template and the rubric. And I really look forward to reading your papers. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on this semester. And again, if you have any problems, let me know.